in Act 4 of Abhijnanashakuntalam, in the interlude, through the conversation between the two friends, we come to know that, or their conversation reveals to us that Dushmanta has married Shakuntala by the Gandharva form of marriage. Okay, and he has left for his capital, and before leaving, he promised to send a suitable guard to bring his bride to his palace. Okay. In the meantime, when Shakuntala is alone in the hermitage, her thoughts are away with her absent husband. Okay, she is thinking of her husband, and in that moment, Durvasa comes there. Okay, and she fails to offer a proper hospitality to that choleric sage who is famous for his hot tempered nature. Okay, Durvasa visits the hermitage, and Shakuntala was uh, absent minded. She was thinking of her husband. Okay, and the hot tempered sage cursed Shakuntala that the person of she is thinking about will forget her. Okay, even if she reminds him, he will not remember. Okay, that was the curse. But fortunately, her friends hear that curse, and this is happening in the off stage. Okay, this is happening off stage. So the friends hear that curse. One of them goes after Durvasa and pleads with him and obtains a concession. Okay, concession of the curse insofar that the curse would erase to have effect. Okay, on the production of some token of recognition. If she shows some kind of token, only then she would be remembered. Okay, since the friends know that Shakuntala has Dushmanta's ring as a token, they are relieved. They are relieved that when Dushmanta and Shakuntala will meet, she will show her the token. She will show him the token, and everything will be sorted. And so they decide not to say anything about the curse even to Shakuntala. Why? As I have told you before also, that this is another concealment of telling. Okay, this concealment of telling is actually making the play or making the plot of the play more complex. Okay, the first concealment of telling leads to the forward movement of the play, and this concealment of telling is making the plot more complex and more interesting to say. Okay, and what we find here is that they thought that it would not be a problem, that is, a friend's thought that it would not be a problem to overcome this curse. Okay, so this is happening in the interlude. After the interlude, there is a passage of few days before the next act begins. Okay, Priyambada informs Anushwa that sage Kanva has returned to the hermitage. Okay, as we all know that Kanva was completely absent during this time, during the first half of the play. He has come to know about a spiritual through a spiritual voice about Shakuntala's marriage and also of pregnancy, and has approved of it. Kanva has approved of it. The sage Kanva arranges to send her to her husband's place. Okay, and this whole scene that is being depicted over here, the whole scene that deals with the leaving of Shakuntala, that is the departure of Shakuntala from this penance grove, we see that she is being presented as a part of nature. Okay, the whole scene, depicting Shakuntala's departure from the penance grove, where she has resided so long, where her ties of affection, where there is this tie of affection, even every plant binds her. Okay, every plant, every creeper, every animal is bounded to her. Okay, there are ties with everything that is in the nature. Okay, uh, everything that is there, every element of nature is touchingly portrayed. Okay, there is this bond between the nature and Shakuntala, which is being described over here. It also contains Kanva's well known advice to Shakuntala on the duties of a wife and a mother. Okay, why this is being presented? Why this stance? Why these lines or these passages are included? Uh, because in those times also, through plays, there was a sense of moral guidance. Okay, the plays used to be taken, or the plays had a motive of providing moral guidance to the people who are watching. Okay, the audience. So there is this sense of moral guidance in this section when Kanva advises Shakuntala of the duties of the wife and a mother. Okay, what we find over here is that Kalidasa's treatment and understanding of the nature is best exhibited in the scene where Shakuntala left for the king's court. Okay, it is both touching and elevating. Why? Because the nature is not seen as an inert and objective presence, or just a setting where the scene unfolds. Okay, but it is presented as a living entity who directly participates in the happenings of the ashrama, and particularly in the life of Shakuntala. Okay, the nature is being reflected as bearing some kind of existential presence, deep existential presence in the life. Okay, uh, and Shakuntala is being treated as a very much like a child. Okay, during taking her leave, she first pays obeisance to her elders, goes around the sacred fire, and then hugs the plants and tells them, um, "She who never touched water before watering you, never touched a leaf despite many desires to do so," and so on. Okay, and what we find here is that in response, the entire nature blessed her on her journey, and does so through the song of Kakku. Okay, the bird in her soft melodious voice carries the blessing of the mute trees to Shakuntala as she embarks on the journey. That very moment, a deer cub, whom Shakuntala uh, had nursed from its very childhood, holds her back by the end of her cloth, um, is one of the most touching scenes or the touching moments of Sanskrit drama. And as we have seen in previous acts also, that Shakuntala uh, is being compared or was compared with a deer, right? So Shakuntala painfully takes a leave from it as well. This is the way the trees and the entire nature reacts as Shakuntala leaves. Okay, the leaves the penance grove for the house of a husband. So another important part of this Act 4, is the first section of it. Okay, where Durvasa is cursing Shakuntala. Okay, what is the impact of the curse? what impact it leaves on Shakuntala and her life. Okay, the episode of the cards of Durvasa in Act 4 of Abhijnanam Shakuntalam is a master stroke by Kalidas. Okay, this is one of the most significant deviation that Kalidasa perpetuates from the epic source. As we know that the source of Abhijnanam Shakuntalam is Mahabharata, but Kalidasa has reoriented it in his own form. Okay, the scene unfolds when Durvasa enters Kanva's hermitage as a guest of honor, little knowing that the Kulapati, sage Kanva, is absent. Shakuntala, who is entrusted with the job of receiving the guest with due diligence, forgets her duty as she is still in deep she is in deep thought of her husband. She is remembering of her departed husband Dushmanta. Durvasa is prone to anger, as we all know. Okay, he takes this as an insult and curses Shakuntala, that the person in whose reverie she abandoned her sense of duty will also forget her when the time comes. Okay, so Anushwa and Priyambada, out of alarm and compassion for their friend, try to salvage the situation. So Durvasa qualifies the cards by stating that reconciliation with reconciliation between them will come if Shakuntala is able to produce that one signet of identification that is given to her. Okay, this addition carries out multiple dramatic functions. Okay, first of all, it transforms the character of Dushwanta from the irresponsible lout that we found in Mahabharata, okay, who makes love to a hapless ashram girl and then forgets about it to be a hero. Okay, it turns his amnesia due to the result of her cards rather than an ingrained element in his character. Okay, but there is a deeper level of purpose behind it. Okay, by deferring the union, Kalidasa makes the lovers go through trials and tribulations. Okay, thus promising permanence of their relationship. ওকে, টেস্ট অ্যান্ড ট্রায়াল মেথডের মধ্যে দিয়ে যাচ্ছে, তাদেরকে যাচাই করা হচ্ছে, অ্যান্ড সেটাই তাদের লাভটাকে আরও বেশি স্ট্রং করে দিচ্ছে। ওকে, হোয়াট ইজ ইজিলি ফাউন্ড ইজ ইজিলি লস্ট। ওকে, সো তাদেরকে ট্রায়াল করা হচ্ছে, তাদেরকে যাচাই করা হচ্ছে যে তারা যাতে বুঝতে পারে। There was such spontaneity in the beginning and the consummation of Shakuntala's love for Dushmanta and also and vice versa, obviously, that there was always a lurking danger of it waning away. ওকে, যে ভালোবাসাটা খুব তাড়াতাড়ি হচ্ছে গ্রো করে, সেটা খুব তাড়াতাড়িও ফেড হয়ে যাওয়ার চান্স থাকে, রাইট? সো এখানটা কালিদাসা এই ডিলেটা এনে কি করছে, এই ডিলেটা এনে সমস্ত কিছুকে আরেকটু পাওয়ার দেওয়ার চেষ্টা করছে, এই রিলেশনশিপটাকে একটু পাওয়ার দেওয়ার চেষ্টা করছে। ওকে, থ্রু দ্য Durvasa episode, with the cards ingrained in the plot, the poet makes the lovers go through situations that are beyond their control. So that finally, when they recognize each other, they recognize and love each other through the still eye of reason and not the haughty hastiness of passion. Okay, যেটা through they were turned on in the beginning. Okay, so they should have reason to understand themselves when they meet again, okay, after their separation. in the court. So when it when in turn when it will turn, that this makes the love not only more permanent but transcendent. Okay, since in the process of realizing their love, they recognize themselves in a deeper and a more meaningful way. Okay, so this is the impact of Durvasa's curse, and also there is this reference, or is this bringing in Act 4. Okay.